Welcome back to DigiBros. So I was going to talk about the interesting thing about paying different artists.
Yeah.
Because when we look at artists in terms of product, we kind of expect to pay the same amount for everything. Like, there's very much this standardized feeling of pay, which is weird because every artist makes things differently.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have the same process. We all kind of have different things that we want from our videos, or like what it takes for us to do it. And
Gotcha.
And it's kind of like it's dangerous to do what I'm doing with Matthew Matosis and going like, why is this taking you so long? Because he's not me. You know, he's never been a hyper prolific guy. He's very much a perfectionist. His Dark Souls video, his 6-hour Dark Souls commentary, like, it took him so long because he kept like losing footage and losing bits of things and having to replay the game like 3 times to capture absolutely everything, and like, you know, he had to make sure he understood it thoroughly and like was doing all this stuff. He probably rewrote the script several times, you know. And I don't have those issues because I've gotten used to being prolific. I'm good at writing a high quality piece at a fast rate. But the funny thing about it is that because of that, I kind of almost devalue my content in comparison.
Yeah.
Because I make it look easy. I make it look like it because I feel like it's easier because I'm used to it. I'm used to doing it fast. So like, you know, I put out so much shit that I don't really make any money off of, even though I probably should be, you know, because someone else would.
Yeah,
Someone else
of
would
course.
see it as, I put a lot of effort into this, I should make some profit from it, you know. And I see it as like, yeah, this is as good as something that makes money, but it didn't take me that much effort, so so I don't care, you know. But like, it's just a funny way of looking at it. But that's why when it is something comparable to me, when it is a guy like
You would
doing an
actually-
analysis video,
You would make more sense as a monthly subscription to all of your
I-
content because you put out so many
here's the
different
thing,
things.
Victor. I agree, and
Yeah.
I've thought about it.
But it would probably disincentivize you to do main channel
Well,
stuff, wouldn't it?
That's part of the issue, but that's not as big of an issue as the fact that doing it per video, like,
Correct.
if I make 4 videos in a month, I can make over $3,000, right? Because there's some people who pledge for
Yeah. But
every
as a monthly
video,
thing, you have
know?
a limit on how much you can make.
Yeah, well, it's like, the question is, how much are my patrons going to raise their patrons? Let's say we've got a guy who's a $3 patron, right? And he patrons for 3 videos in a month. That guy might set his to $10 a month if I change it, as opposed to paying 3 installments of 9, which would be great, but he might just increase it to 5 a month, you know, because he's not paying for more than 1. So the question is, how many of my Patreons will either maintain exactly what they're paying right now or raise it? Because if they don't raise it, then I will ultimately make less. Like, I only have, I want to say, 500 or so people pledging to me. So like, you know, if I my problem is I can currently put out 4 videos or 5. I can put out 5 Patreon posts because oftentimes I'll end a month by posting like everything I did in Patreon.
Oh my God.
In one big post. I can make 5 posts in a month and make like $4,000. And if I can't make $4,000 by doing it monthly, then it won't be worth it. But
Yeah.
what will make it worth it would be if I offer higher rewards. Like, because right now.
Oh, I didn't know he was gonna do that. No.
Yeah.
These guys are strong.
Here's really the biggest problem question, right? I have a $5 a month reward tier that is, or a $5 pledge tier, which is like the main one. Like, it's the where you get access to all the behind the scenes crap. And if you pledge $5, it doesn't matter how many videos you pledge for. So if you're just pledging $5 a month ultimately, then you get that tier. Now, if I switch to a monthly system, I'm going to raise that. It's
Yeah.
going to be like $10 for that. But how many people will switch to it? You know, the people who are only paying $5 to get this feed, are they going to be willing to switch to 10? And then the people who are paying 5 and doing it for 5 videos a month who are paying me like $25 a
man.
month, are they gonna are we just gonna lose them,
You
like
just gotta
or lose
add
half that
like
money?
a $30 tier to get your private Snapchat.
Well,
where
that's
you'll
what
send
I'm-
them personalized.
That's what I'm
sexy
thinking, is that there
pictures.
has to be something higher up, and maybe I could do, like, because a lot of people, their higher up ones are like, get your name on the video, you
Yeah.
know, like you look at someone like
That's
H-Bomber
always
guy.
fucking gay though. Like, who cares?
Yeah,
I don't fucking care about that.
I mean, the people who patron care.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that in a video though, because I'm just gonna skip through that part or not watch it
Exactly.
or whatever. Like, but for the patrons, they like having their name in there. They get to hear you and know that they're a part of the product. So like, I could offer that. It would massively change the general style of my videos though, because the thing is that my videos are all about getting in and out really quick. There's no
That's the thing
sensation
I tried to do with Fat and Dangerous, where I was like, there's not going to be an
Yeah.
intro or an outro. It's just going to go.
Yeah, and like with someone like H-Bomber guy, like there's this sensation of.
Bro.
I think most YouTubers are like this. Most YouTubers kind of want you to sit down and get homely with their
Yeah.
videos. They've got a little bit of lead in. They've got an intro part where they play a cool clip. That lets you know,
God,
hey,
this place is
you're
fucked.
watching this video. And then they kind of guide you through step by step. And then there's an ending bit. They do a little joke. They put in some patrons.
Jokey joke.
They say, hey, follow me on social media. For me, it's just like the video starts with the point. It goes right through a bunch of points. And then it just ends like, by the way, here's my other channels and my Patreon. See you next time.
Yeah.
So like, if I shifted to having like a lot of extra shit at the end, it would definitely feel different. But I don't know if that's a bad thing. We could work around that, and it would give it, having that stuff at the end does open up opportunities for you to put in more. Like, if I already am opening it up to I have a tail end, I can actually start promoting shit there. I could be like,
Yeah.
maybe mention my Twitter in every video or my subreddit, because like, I know I should
Look at
have
this shit, man. I'm just covered in disgusting flesh-eating worms.
I should definitely have a much greater number of people on my Twitter and Reddit, but
Yeah.
because I don't advertise it in the videos themselves, then this is disgusting. Everything about this is
Oh,
horrifying.
yeah. I'm in the fly pit now, dude. I had to find like a really specific path to get through this area. It was fucking hard as shit.
This is the coolest.
But I couldn't
grossest
kill these
shit.
guys in one hit before.
These things look like Lost
It was
Spinator.
really difficult. Oh god, I got covered in the shit.
Spinator.
Now I'm dying. Oh! Oh! Covered in blood! Sucking blood!
I can't do it. Burning deep. That
That's
part-
Mastodon for
I
you
didn't even
guys.
realize that was Scott Kelly on that song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were saying how
he's on every album, and I was like, is
You skipped like 10 seconds of that solo.
Yeah, I couldn't remember it. We gotta bring back Dorkass Acapella Bros. We'd have to redo Blasteroid if I can't find it. That channel would have really just been Mastodon. It would have just been
man.
us doing
Oh,
acapella
yeah, that was
renditions
the
of
plan.
Mastodon. I think I wanted it to be like Mastodon and like Sound of Animals Fighting and Fall of Troy. Those are all.
You think Monkey Jones will watch these? Does he follow Digirose now?
I don't know if we tell him to.
Because I wanna tell him about 13 Cucks, the Netflix show. It's
Is
not
there-
actually called 13 Cucks. It's called 13 Reasons Why.
Yeah.
Man, this is a show on Netflix.
I thought you were enjoying that show.
It's not good
okay.
in a sense that like it's pretty decently acted. It's well directed. It's got good cinematography. It's got really interesting editing concepts, and then it has like the worst depiction of a depressed
Ancient
girl in
Chinese
suicide
secret.
that you'll ever see, and it's
Yeah.
incredibly misguided, and it's like I ended up looking up what it was afterwards, because you had told me that it was based on a book that
Yeah.
Mumkey Jones thoroughly hates.
Yeah.
Because of the way it depicts depression and suicide. And I was like, I can see where that would be true, judging on where I was in the show and how it was showing those things. And then I look it up, and of course my suspicion is correct. It's written by some guy who was like 35. Some
Yeah.
white dude who was 35, writing a story about a girl in high school who kills herself.
Yeah.
Like, so he already has a lack of perspective, and that is incredibly evident. And so what I didn't know, and I had also had a hunch about, was that the Netflix show adds like I would say over 50% of the content in the show is original.
Okay.
So
And that's the good part.
yeah, the good part is the original content, but then the fact that it's content that wasn't in the book makes it not make any sense, like character-wise, a lot of the time. And like it kind of, like it elaborates on a lot of things in a good way, but then because the base story and the base characters are kind of bad, it's brought down by the source material.
Yeah.
And having to be constrained by the source material, because like the structure of the show is that it's the main guy gets 13 tapes that were handed off to him, and it's the 13 reasons why the girl killed herself that she explains in these cassette tapes. And so in the original book, he sits down and he listens to them all, and it's just like her explaining to him like why she killed herself, and that's it.
Right.
In the show, he's listening to these over the course of several weeks, because it's so painful for him to listen to the tapes because he was in love with her or whatever, that it's hard for him to get through these things. But that is the ultimate plot device for them to drag it out for a million years, you know, and make it a whole season, which works really well if you can get over the fact that you're screaming at this guy to just finish the rest of these fucking tapes so he will know the rest of the plot that all the other characters know.
Yeah.
And so it's like that element of the show is really brought down by having to work around this source material. But it's interesting. It's worth a watch to... I always find these things that I don't find necessarily good, but I think are worth watching for the ideas that they present and the reasons why they aren't good.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm trying to remember where I was going with the tangent. But it's neat.
Okay.
Except for, okay, here's where it went from being a show that like wasn't good, but I enjoyed it a lot because I had a lot of moments where I was like, oh yeah, oh, and then like, you know, the main guy is going around like punching people in the face and shit and getting all pissed off because he's like this nerdy cuck boy, and like his whole thing is that he was a great guy to this girl, but he never like made the move and like asked her out and stuff.
Right.
And then like he ends up getting to make out with her at a party, and she like pushes him away, and her thing was like, oh, but she wished he would have, you know, turned around and grabbed her and like been like, nah, that's bullshit, you know. And he didn't, and so he's blaming himself because it's like, oh fuck, I didn't, like I should have went back for her, and I should have been a bigger man about it.
Right.
And instead she ended up
was
going
too
down this
beta for
slope.
her,
Yeah,
is what
well,
you're saying.
that's like pretty deep into the plot. But he's listening to all these tapes, and it's all these kids who did kind of. It's always really petty things. Like that's another one of the funny things is that like the shit that happened to her was just like she handles it in the worst possible way that's like kind of overblown and unrealistic. But he'll just start fucking with the people that wronged her in real life, and he's like slowly descending into madness and like just getting really borderline and like fucking up all the time and just like going and beating the shit out of people and stuff. And it's like, yeah, this guy's great. He's losing his shit. So that element of it was fun. But the show ruins itself because season 2, because it leaves these plot threads where it's like in the last episode, all of a sudden there's a guy who was like the nerdiest guy who was like super shat on by everyone. Mm-hmm. Like he's like the photographer kid who's like kind of a stalker, and like everyone hates him and they shit on him all the time, and it's hilarious. But there's a scene towards the end where it's like he's collecting all these guns, and it's like, oh, he's gonna become a school shooter. And you're thinking in the last episode, like, this guy's got guns, there's another character you know who's got a gun, there's a character who got a gun and he killed himself, and you're like, man, it's really hitting the fan now, it's gonna be like a big explosive finale. And then it like fizzles out, and it's like, oh fuck, there's gonna be a season 2. Yeah. And it's gonna be about this character that has no business being a school shooter, turning into a school shooter and all this bullshit. And it's just, I fucking hate where TV has gone. Because if this was just a 10-episode series, it would have been great. And I would have recommended it to people because it was a fun enough time. But they have to fucking stretch it out. They have to pad out this content to 2 fucking seasons, possibly 3 seasons, and it's gonna ruin every bit of value it had. Because the whole structure of the show was based around the 13 tapes. It was about 13 stories, and cutting. It had like really nice transitions between like the current timeline and the past timeline, and all. That was like the best part of the show, was all the timeline shenanigans. And it's like, what are you gonna? That's all gonna be gone because you're not gonna have any more tapes. What, is she gonna have more tapes? Who the fuck knows? What's the point? You're taking a story. You already added 50% of the content. You already had a 13-hour show based on a book. Yeah. And now you're just going to add a whole nother fucking season about these characters who... They did a decent job of trying to flesh them out, but they're built on the backbone of shitty stereotypes and bad archetypes. And now you're trying to make 2 seasons out of them. Like, they were already shallow enough that you could barely tolerate 1 season. And now we need 2 seasons. This is how everything has to fucking go. And the 2nd season will be vapid bullshit. There'll be no point.
Yeah.
God damn it.
It's the problem with American TV.
So obnoxious.
It's always eternal. Like,
and then I have some analysis of the characters as well. I'm just remembering because first we'll start with the school shooter kid, because there's more of this misconception of the kinds of people who commit these acts, which I don't understand how you could misconceive this, because there's an Elliot Rodger, like, the kind of person who would end up shooting up a school. He's there. You could look at that personality type and know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think what they're gonna do wrong, and why it doesn't make sense for this character in this show to become a school shooter, is that
he's not autistic enough.
He's not autistic enough, and this character seems like he would kill himself. Yeah. Like, he would take all this shit and he'd be like, I'm a broken boy and I deserve to die, and he'd kill himself. Because he doesn't have the ego, and he doesn't have the rage that it takes to go kill people. It takes a certain degree of ego to be able... I think that
takes a lot of degree of ego.
Yes, it takes a huge ego to go and blame other people for your misfortune and want to kill them. Like, you can't do that if you don't like yourself, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
It's about,
I think it's
about thinking everyone's even worse than you.
Yeah.
That they all wronged you and it's all their fault.
And I've started to think of this on a spectrum of, like, if those are 2 options, it takes the same kind of person to kill themselves as it would... Like, it takes a similar train of thought in a similar set of circumstances to kill yourself or shoot up a school.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna be in a similar headspace with different personalities. And where this show gets it wrong is that the girl who kills herself doesn't hate herself.
Yeah.
She blames other people for her problems. She makes 13 tapes explaining why it was other people wronging her and doing these things in her life that made her sad.
So she should have been the school shooter.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense for her to kill herself because she wasn't depressed in the way that would cause self-harm. Yeah. Like, you have to have a certain degree of self-loathing to harm yourself in that way. You wouldn't calmly make 13-hour-long tapes detailing, what happened to you. Yeah. It just doesn't make much sense. And when it comes to that conclusion of her doing that, it doesn't make any sense. And then it's like, for this guy to be trying to shoot up a school, it's like he doesn't have the ego for it, Yeah. And I hate that. And it's like, now they have this show, and this is what everyone's going to be thinking.
That's what Monkey's big problem was with 13.
Exactly. And, like, I saw someone post on Facebook today about how 13 Reasons Why, like, has a lot to say and you should listen to it or whatever. And I'm just like, yeah, but they're not showing the character right.
Yeah.
And I don't, like, maybe it's different because I'm a guy, maybe it's different for girls, but I feel like I understand the kind of guy who kills himself as being a guy who was pretty close to that, Yeah. So it's weird.
Like,
and I don't know how to explain it. And I feel like I couldn't go out and explain why the show does it wrong without, like, fucking pissing off a lot of people.
It's like people think that this show has something important to say because it's talking about the subject. But is the guy who wrote it a psychologist?
Exactly.
Is he someone who's experienced these emotions? Or is he just an author who thinks he has the answers,
It
or is
seems
just writing
like
a story about it because it's interesting.
The story feels like yeah, I think he's interested and he probably did
Yeah.
research on it, but it seems like a laundry list of things, of ways girls get bullied.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, she gets bullied in these super stereotypical ways, and then she ends up getting raped, and then like she tries to go to a guidance counselor, and the guidance counselor is basically like, I can't help you and you need to get over it, and then she kills herself. And it's like, those seem like things that happen to girls. You know, these are things that I know have, because I've seen documentaries about it and about girls who've killed themselves after being raped and stuff. But this show isn't showing you, isn't giving you the right character, you know?
Yeah.
And that just doesn't feel constructive to me. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, again, it's like if you want to understand the mind of a school shooter, go read Elliot Rogers'
Exactly.
book.
It's like we know what these
don't
people
read
are
someone
like.
interpreting it. Yeah.
And it's a book from like the mid 2000s, you know? And it's like shit's different now. Apparently all the there's a lot of social media stuff in the show, and it's like none of that was even in the book.
Yeah.
So what the fuck?
Well, that's it for this episode of DigiBros, where you mostly ranted about the Netflix original series 13 Reasons Why.
Yeah. Can't wait for season 2.
Well, I don't want to cut us off in the middle of this cutscene. Let's see what's
pretty
going on
dope.
here.
We unlocked the boss basically.
Oh. Ancient Chinese secret.
Oh yes, Ching Chong.
Way to make it racist, Victor.
As others will be,
Oh, it's still going.
ever seeking fire.
All right.
All right.
Oh god.
Next time on Digi.
We're still in Lord of the Flies.